So I want to kick us off and start by, thanking everybody who's joining our call tonight. And we have a very special guest, Isabelle Daikeler, who is the co-founder, creator of Shakeology and of the Daily Sunshine. And I've already collected a list of questions that you guys have all submitted in our post and in our event, and I forwarded those to Isabelle. So she's going to be answering those questions, and I don't know if she'll take other questions on the call, but I will go ahead and turn it over to her because I know she has a lot to talk about. So,
well, I usually take I'm trying to look for your question, my dear. But I take the lead from you guys. Usually you go ahead and ask the question, and that way if they have a follow-up question, that I'm available to answer, and we can go like this. What I would love to know is if everyone is aware of me. Do we have new people that don't know who I am? Is there a need to understand the why I was part of creating the Shakeology and all the other products with it?
We have a lot of new coaches, so yeah, please go ahead.
Good, because I think it might give you a perspective of why even Carl set up the Beachbody platform. So I won't go deep into it, but I'll give you a quick review. In my early 20s, 21, I started getting very sick. I was a track and field coach. I was going to school. I had one-on-one clients as well. So I was very busy and very driven. And so I started becoming more and more tired and eventually unable to focus. Eventually pain came into play. And I ended up in a place where I went from doctors to doctors, Western medicine. They didn't really know what was going on, and ended up telling me that it was all in my head and giving me antidepressant, which I tried for like a week or something like that, a very short amount, and made me nuts. And it told me, yes, that's normal. It takes 6 months to a year to figure out the right balance. And I was thinking in my head at the time, there's all sorts of crazy things happening to my body. I'm unable to go to school. I lost all my clients. I'm making no money. I'm borrowing on credit cards like mad. I'm paying tons of doctors that tell me to take drugs, but they don't know what I have, but they're willing to give me drugs for something they don't know what it is. That kind of got me a little scared and it ended up bad enough for me to not able to walk, meaning that my body was so drained of life itself, because it wasn't just the pain, it was sort of like as if life itself was slowly being sucked dry from someone with a straw. It was very strange. And I was at I had a little step that was the big moment, a little step to open my door, and I couldn't even move that little step. I collapsed and I cried for I don't know how long. Eventually crawled inside, and this is when for me it was like, of course I'm depressed, and of course I'm losing my mind. I'm in pain. I'm making no money. I can't work. I'm alone and I'm scared. And so this was the big breakthrough where I decided to investigate how other societies, other way of thinking, way of dealing with the body, the Asian way, the Ayurvedic way, the Chinese way, acupuncture, acupressure, Qinate Song, Tai Chi, Qigong. And of course, I went to Chinatown and I started meeting people and kind souls that knowing that I was desperate, knowing, because literally it would take all my energy and was probably pure fear to just drive there. And so kind souls taught me, gave me herbs, didn't have the money to buy pills or serums. So I had to take these roots and barks and herbs and make my own little lab at home, boil things, extract things poorly, but did it. And slowly start to understand how the body functions, all the emotional, psychological, and physical reasons behind this slow collapse of my entire being, and put that together, and eventually it became a serum and extractions and powders that I would take on a regular basis, even after 2-3 years when I was all good. It became part of my protocol, what I did with my clients. Now, shortly after that, I realized that most people don't want to take in stuff that tastes terrible, because that stuff didn't taste good at all. And this is when I started making shake. How can I camouflage all that stuff and still not use, because by then I was already hip to non-GMO, to organic, no pesticide, no herbicide. 30 something years ago, it was not that hip back in those days. I was one of those crazy people. And I started finding ways to use fruit and vegetables and grains, and maca and lucuma to me were two beautiful flavors, coffee-like, that helped me to camouflage stuff. Nut milks, all these things that were not really hip in those days. And it became my protocol, and what I did with each of my clients individually. Then I had groups, and then I was hired from different companies to design things for them under their label. That's my story, right? So here I go, and I meet Carl, who hates vegetables, hates anything that is good for him, basically, literally everything. And I'm married to him. I'm in the kitchen, and I'm making all these things for my son and finding ways again to camouflage, because even though I prayed like a mad woman, my son ended up being just like his dad. And I realized actually that a lot of kids have that syndrome, right? It's like the very thing that they all need are the very things they don't want to take, which is like a crazy setup for mothers. And so I started putting things together for the family, for the friends, for the help, and then he asked me to do that for him, and then he asked me to do that for the Beachbody community, and here we are. So the purpose behind the shake was always to help find the common denominators that is good for everyone, no matter what diet they're on, that I figured out through working with hundreds of people, and then through the little shakes, the little version of Shakeology, but not as sophisticated at all. I didn't have the lab coats. I didn't have the means, the finance, and I didn't have a guy like Carl who was willing to put a lot of money and a lot of work to take a big risk, meaning that this shake costs a lot more money than most to even make. And therefore, everybody told us nobody was going to buy it. Everybody in the company nobody wanted to do this shake. And we did it anyway, without compromising anything. And so I had never done that to that level. And the intent was to help as much as possible, to the best of my abilities, from what I had learned, what I had gone through, and what I watched other people go through when they were hiring my help. And of course, I needed help. I hired Darren, which was like, oh, like there's no more. This is a match made in heaven, literally. And it was so easy to meet and so obvious from the get-go, and is a perfect compliment to me. And we're blessed, all of us, to have had this amazing collaboration between individuals who really want to help. This is why it is not compromised. This is why it costs money. This is why the integrity, purity, bioavailability is the utmost important in our community, at the company itself, and then it extends to you. I couldn't live with consciously knowing that I was compromising and putting things that I consciously know are harmful for money. I couldn't live with it. First of all, because I went through that. I know how scary that is. I honor life too much. I have a son, and I wouldn't, the idea that I could compromise the health of another little guy or little girl out there would devastate me. And so that's the integrity of the company. That's the why that is behind why we do what we do. So I thought it was important for the new people to understand this is where the shake come from. And is that a good little sustained story for you guys?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you very much.
So, going from there, do you have your list of questions?
I do. Would you like me to read?
Go for it.
Okay. Well, this is something we talked about on the phone, and I know a lot of people have this question, and a lot of people ask me this question. Can you talk a little bit about just recap like the putting the organic cane sugar in Shakeology and why that decision was made over stevia or whatever?
Guave. That was what the guave. That's what was the name that we were looking for, you and I, when I was.
Oh, okay. The guave, right.
That was in the vegan formula, and the fructose was in the whey formula.
Right, and then going along with that, there's a lot of people who are obviously on the low carb kick now, and like how will Shakeology and having the sugar affect their glucose and their insulin levels and stuff like that. So that's kind of a concern. If you could talk about that.
You bet. So I went and I asked. I want to make sure that I have all. I have an answer because I really wanted to get it straight from Mike, the head of R&D at our company. So I'm going to give I'm going to read it verbatim, and then I'll try to, if it's convoluted, go deeper in lay terms and expand from there. And I was curious because a lot of these questions are actually in our FAQ. So I'm always curious to see, because I get some questions over and over again. I'm like, my God, is it not in the FAQ? But it is, just so you know, guys, it's all in there. Because I went there today and I found it. Just a little wink here. I'll start with reading one because I have different versions. But here's Mike's quick answer. He was running between meetings. The sugars in Shakeology come from organic cane as well as the fruits in the formula. Organic cane sugar is made from non-GMO sugar cane. Difference number one between organic cane sugar and sugar, because I'm realizing people don't see the difference. That is grown, harvested, and manufactured using strict organic practice. It's organic. Sugar is not. Regarding the effect of sugar on the body, Shakeology has a balanced source of macronutrients with a relatively low sugar level and a high level of protein, healthy fats, and good source of fiber. The complexity of the formula is designed so it provides a very slow release of sugar into the bloodstream. So you have enough for hunger control and energy, but don't get unhealthy blood sugar spikes. We also test every flavor of Shakeology using a glycemic index study, which measures the increase in blood sugar after eating a food. You will be glad to know that Shakeology has a very low GI. Of course, if someone has a specific health concern, we always advise them to consult their health professional. So the difference, if you haven't gotten it from this, it's organic. Sugar ain't. It's not processed. Sugar is. It's naturally harvested and grown using strict organic practices. Sugar is also dyed with all sorts of wild stuff that you're not supposed to eat to make it white. Ours obviously is not. So it has nothing to do with sugar. It's just like the difference between Himalayan salt and the salt table on your table. The salt table on your table is not even salt. So Himalayan salt is full of minerals, and the light pink color is a natural color. So it's just, those are the two differences, even with the salt, that people don't really understand. Did I answer your question? Because it seems like I hit on the sugar and on the low glycemic. Now I need to go on the low carb diet.
Sure. Yes.
And then hit me.
Okay.
So low carb diet, obviously, the shake is not focused on trying to please every single fad of diet. And by fad, I don't mean like it's a bad thing. I just mean that they come and go, usually by burst of 5 to 10 years. They're in the public eye, they disappear. Not that some people don't continue, but they go in and out, and there's a lot of them. The keto diet's been around forever. Now suddenly I feel a perk that's happening right now. So all is fine. everyone is allowed to test and drive and see what works for them and stay on it forever or just get off it, whatever works with your system. But I did not design the shake with Darren and the gang at Beachbody in order to fit all those niche diets. This was designed to be a balanced, healthy, deep nutrition. So your phytonutrients, your antioxidants, the macro ingredients that we all know we need. So protein, carbs, good source of fiber and protein, very important. We also added prebiotic, systemic enzyme, digestive enzymes to help the assimilation of food and the extraction of what you need from food. We try to make everything very bioavailable, meaning that is easily recognized and processed through your body. So a balance between all of it and a synergy between these ingredients and focus on whole food and superfood. That is our goal, because those elements is what we felt was needed for all throughout the history of human beings. And most people that you talk to will probably need these elements. Now, you decide what level of carbs, protein, sugar, fiber, that's your call. And even the diets at Beachbody, there's a lot of choices there, and you pick and choose and try and see what works for you. So low carb diet, you just look at the carbs and the sugar and the protein and the calories in the Beachbody Shakeology, and you count and you decide what part of the Shakeology may have a role in your diet. And if it doesn't, then that's okay. We can't try to fit all these specific diets with their specific requirements. So if it fits in, and often it can, then it fits in. And if it doesn't, Greg, it doesn't. And I'm okay with that. And we should all be okay with that. Like, we don't want to force people to like this shake. But anything they'll buy over the counter, unless it's specifically marketed for keto diet or low carb diet, will not fit perfectly. You'll have to figure it out by calculation. But what you and I had talked about also was to be careful with shakes, with any product. If it says whole food and it has 0 sugar, be very, very aware that whole food, as we said here, it has its own sugar, right? Anything that is based on real food will have a certain amount of sugar in it. So when you have a, let's say, organic whole food based shake and it says 0 sugar, something could be fishy about that. Check it out. They had to do something because it doesn't quite work that way in nature. Even apples and banana has between 14 and I think 16, 17 grams of sugar. And yet we all want our kids to have an apple, right? So that would be 14 grams of sugar, a lot more than the shake. I don't know if you feed that to your kid on a low carb diet. I'm not that educated on the specifics of those diets. But you would have to count the sugar, the calories, and figure it out to make it work for you and your family. Do the same with the shake. It's whole food.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you want to ask if anybody has a counter question?
Sure. Does anybody want to take themselves off of mute and ask something about that? Well, I don't think so.
Okay.
So let's continue. So I know that in the FAQs, it talks about glucose is made in a factory that could have other...
glucose, you said?
No, Shakeology is made in a factory that has contaminants of gluten, right, from other foods, even though Shakeology doesn't have gluten in it per se. Is there any movement towards getting it in a gluten-free factory, made in a gluten-free factory so that it would be, drinkable by people with celiac and things like that?
As of now, no. It's kind of the reason behind the Daily Sunshine, which is certified gluten-free. That being said, the shake is, between every batch of our own products, we clean and sanitize all the whole area, all the machinery, to make it as clean as possible that way. I have a very specific little thing on that. I'll find it. Um, but the problem, and I've discussed that on many videos as well, and I think Darren has as well, is that what I could do with Daily Sunshine, I couldn't do, or we couldn't do with Shakeology, because we have 60 plus ingredients and they're from all around the world. And all these people, let's say in Peru, don't speak English, have been growing and harvesting their lands in a very specific way, and learned it from what's the word in English? Lineage, right? There's a whole lineage, hundreds of years of lineage. And in order for us to shake all that up in all these different foreign countries, in their languages, teach them how to do it the stamp way, which is not necessarily better than their way, in their language, and then they would have to charge us more, and then we would have to charge you more, which I know you will be very unhappy about. It's like we want to have our cake and eat it too. It's a heck of a thing. This is why I could do it with Daily Sunshine, because it was a lot less ingredients. Problem number 2 is that the volume is enormous. This is why we have to go all over the place to find the quality, purity, sustainability, availability of all these ingredients, because very often one place will not be able to give us the volume that we need. That's another problem to get that gluten-free, because and problem number 3 is that when you go to a facility, to guarantee that that facility will never utilize any other companies that may not want gluten-free, therefore that facility has to be ours. Because otherwise we could be there for 2 years, and then suddenly another company comes, it's not gluten-free, and then they say, hey guys, it's not gluten-free anymore. We're not in charge of that. And since we have monthly deliveries, we're stuck. What do we do? Because the volume is enormous, and also the processing, the way we do things is not at all the norm. Our standard of quality is high. So it's not easy for us to find a facility, vendor, suppliers that are up to par to what we consider our quality standard. And so all these reasons make it very challenging to find facilities that can be ours and produce all volume from all around the world. It's a heck of a job. And there was something else I wanted to mention about that. It's also the fact that there's something about what Darren and I talk all the time about the quality and purity of the earth, of the air, so the soil and the air, and a lot of things growing that are open pods. So you have to understand that even if your soil is organic, the water may not be, and the air very much would not be. Therefore, even though you get an organic stamp, when we test it, because we do try all the time, and whatever we can have organic, we do get. And so, but we test a lot of organic stuff, and it's not good. There are levels of heavy metals that are just not okay for us. But that's not because they're lying to us. It's because then we would have to find organic stamp, gluten-free stamp, and make sure their water and the air where it's grown, which is more and more challenging nowadays, is pure. It's a heck of a thing. And so this is why we have our own team researching quality control, toxicity control, and we check every batch. We test every batch before it gets to you. I don't know anybody who can afford to do that. Certainly not mom and pops companies. They have a wonderful green label, but they have to trust that their vendor or suppliers are telling them the truth, or that they even know. Because you have to test everything. We test over there, we test before it's shipped, we test once it's back here, and we test every batch. That's a lot of work. We also travel around the world. We meet everybody. We shake hands. We know our farmers. Not many companies will do that. Not many companies you will have access to their formulators like this every week, every month, or year long, or the CEO. Check out other companies. Do you know these guys? Do you know who formulated the shake? Do you talk to them? Can you hit them with questions like this? We are behind our product 100%. Our faces and our words are behind on 100%. So those are the reason why getting an organic stamp is not that easy. Do we do it when we can? Yes. Do we do all we can not to, like like I said, sanitizing everything for the gluten? We do all that we can, but as of now it is impossible for us to do that stamp. It would be a crazy business and you would not want to pay for it. You're already giving us a hard time about the price. So we can't push you anymore.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome. You want to ask if they have a follow-up question?
Yeah.
I want to make sure you guys get what you want.
Does anybody have a follow-up question with that? I think this crew is pretty quiet, so.
All right.
So let's see.
What else?
We have some people in the UK, and they were wondering what is the difference between the US version of Shakeology and the UK version of Shakeology. And I know there's some ingredients that were excluded.
Not much. Not much. And I have a little graph. I wish I could give you a close-up of it. I got Richard, another wonderful worker bee with us. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little graph.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got that little graph. And so, first of all, the reason why we had to change a few things was not because it was fun and we felt like it. It would have been a lot simpler to simply ship what we had in the United States. But every new country, UK, Canada, they all have their version of the FDA, quality assurance, all that stuff. And we have to honor their rules and regulations. So there are certain things that is totally okay here, but in the UK, they're not allowing for all sorts of different complex technical political reasons. But basically the only difference is here. We had to remove, due to the UK regulations, the chia and sacha inchi, and therefore we replaced it with flaxseed. Now in those switcheroos, we made sure it was very similar so that the calculation and the enhancing ingredients, the chemicals, the phytonutrients, the antioxidants, or the fat or the fiber, all that was still there, the same amount, but from different sources, just because it was not allowed over there. Then we have our cordyceps militaris and chaga mushrooms that were not allowed over there. We changed it to cordyceps sinensis, and that's it. And then we have the ashwagandha roots. Instead, we took astragalus and schisandra together. And then we have our luang ho, and therefore we removed the luang ho and added a bit more stevia with the natural organic cane sugar, so the bitterness would not be too high. And so that's it. That's the only changes. And all the benefits are the exact same, the fiber, the calories, all that stuff. So it's very minimal, and certainly in the efficacies of it, in what you're looking for in the shake, it's all in there. It just comes from slightly different ingredients. And that's it.
Okay, awesome. Mike, did you have a follow-up to that question? Because I know that was yours.
No, I'm all good with that. Thanks, Greg.
Okay.
Hey. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Okay, we have one of our moms that asked that she has children under 11, and she was wondering if her kids love Shakeology and Daily Sunshine equally, does it matter which she gives them, or is it preferable to give them Daily Sunshine?
Well, it's that's a very personal choice. They're not quite the same. They're both fantastic. The Daily Sunshine was specifically formulated for kids to give them sort of the foundation, the blocks, the big things that we know kids need and don't have. One of the key things that I kept hearing about Shakeology, some kids cannot drink the whole Shakeology. There's a little bit about the taste, the volume. They just would have a third or maybe half, and therefore they didn't get the full dose of what was good for them. And also, I really wanted to focus on vegetable fat, fiber in the Daily Sunshine. That was my big goal, so that it felt and tasted the way kids like things to taste. So it's a very different taste than Shakeology. Very sweet. We had 400 something kids trying all sorts of different version of the Daily Sunshine, and so we gather all the information and we try to make it taste the way most of them liked it. So I wanted to make sure they would drink the whole thing, and therefore they got their full serving of fruit and vegetable, they got their fiber, they got a good level of protein, and they would want it and reach for it, and then parents would not have to fight so hard, and at least they knew that in that little shake, that little yummy smoothie, they could have a good dose of the very things that we just can't make them eat enough of. So it's a slightly different thing as opposed to all the complexity of the Shakeology, which has the superfoods, and again, the enzymes and probiotic, and the adaptogen mushrooms, all that stuff that is not in the Daily Sunshine. The Daily Sunshine is like the greatest snack you could possibly eat for a child, and a good amount of it. So it's slightly different. They're both fantastic, and you have to choose what your kid needs the most of. I also designed the Daily Sunshine so that the kids could make it, that they just need a cold liquid. They have their own little shaker. They can bring it to school, get some cold water if they have nothing else, and just shake it, and it melts very easily. Most of the people that drink Shakeology know that they dress it up. The Daily Sunshine has that sweetness, that smoothie, real smoothie-like flavor, that if kids can only put cold liquid in it, it'd still be yummy. They don't need to add anything, and they still want it. Having the kids want it and able to do it on their own at school was a big thing that I wanted to create. So it's different, and they're both wonderful. So it's her choice, and it's each parent's choice to see what fits best for their children's needs.
Okay.
If your kid eats tons of veggies and fruits and has no problem and enough fiber, and they call for their veggies, then you're good.
All right.
Lucky.
Does anybody have a follow-up to that question? Okay. Somebody asked that they read that moringa has anti-nutrients. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, a lot of grains, legumes, nuts have that. It's a normal way for the plant or the nuts to protect themselves, right? So here's a little quote from Mike again. He said, anti-nutrients, such as antioxidants, polyphenols, and phytates, are a natural part of our plants. They can bind or compete for bioavailability with some micro as well as macronutrients. Micro, phytonutrient antioxidants, macronutrients, fiber, protein. Moringa, like most whole plant-based foods and botanicals, has some component that can be classified as anti-nutrients. However, it has a very insignificant impact on the bioavailability of the nutrients in Shakeology. So again, we have an incredible lab, and we can do things that we cannot do at home. And because of the balance of everything, one does not compete too much with the rest of the component in the Shakeology. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Does anybody have a follow-up there? Okay. Someone said, someone said, everyone is in instant gratification and results. Many see quick results from Shako, reduced cravings, increased energy, faster growing hair. But they said, what would you say was the most overlooked long-term benefit of drinking Shakeology?
That's true. I forgot that you had that question. I love that question. I think that you're right. It reminds me of all the visualization and the law of attraction. And it made me laugh because people are using it to attract a car or a house, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the reason why we want the car and the jewelry and the outfit and living in the right neighborhood and going on that trip, all that stuff, the goal is to be happy, right? To be at peace and to feel well. So the goal behind Shakeology it might help with your skin and your weight and give you energy for your workouts and make your hair, look better, all that stuff. But the goal is long-term health and well-being. The goal is prevention. So it's about all that you need to have every day. You don't eat an apple on Monday and say, okay, I'm done with the fruits now. I'm good. I'm healthy. I'll be fine all week. You don't have one glass of water on Monday and say, I don't need to drink water anymore. I'm set. You don't do any of that stuff one day or for a week and think that you're set, that your health is all good and under control. You understand that you have to have all that stuff, all the things that are in the Shakeology really, in order to be well, feel well, and prevent going to the doctors. Does that mean that it may not happen? Of course not. We're not saying we are, some kind of magical pill that you will age until 105 and never ever need any help from a doctor. But we're saying, just like drinking water, exercising, whatever you like, eating healthy food, that the shake, because of all these elements that we've gathered together in this one drink, is preventive. It's to help you stay healthy long term. And when you're 10 and 20 and 30, you don't really get it. But when you're 40 and 50 and 60 and 70 and life happens, you start understanding the ramification and the consequences of your daily behaviors. This is why that call says, have you shake every day. This is why we say 30-day money back guaranteed. Not just to push it, you have to feel it. You have to have it consistently to start having a shift. If you're someone who has eating like crap, Dunkin' Donuts, Coke, coffee, I'm talking about these sort of blends that are this big with all sorts of stuff in it, and 2 a day for energy, and white bread and processed food, never enough fiber, not drinking so much water. You take a walk to your car in the morning and to the office and back to your car and your home, and that's your exercise. All these things, it will take a while to unplug and shift that body that has been sort of surviving these counterintuitive behaviors that create a lethargy, internal lethargy, that does not allow you to deal with extra stress, with the death of a loved one, with a week-long kid being sick and you don't sleep and then you have to go to work anyway, with losing your job, with falling and breaking your knee, and on life happens. And that's life. And it happens. And so the greatest benefit, it's the consistency of all these amazing nutrients that are required for your body to be healthy, just like water is crucial to your well-being. Just drinking a sufficient amount of clean water every day makes a huge difference for so many people. But until they live it, they don't understand it. And so this is the main goal. My goal was not, I wonder if I can design a shake that will make her super sexy until she's 80. That's not my concern. Work on that. My concern is, can I deliver a shake that is superior quality, that is pure, great intent of quality, of bioavailability, that what is written on the shake, on the bag, is actually in the shake, that will have an impact that you will feel if you take it regularly. And Darren, I, Mike, Richard, Dana, and the many behind the scenes, and Carl, that is our intent, so that you can age well with the ups and downs of life, but a strong body. And we never also just say, do nothing and drink the shake. What do we sell? We talk about exercise, moving, water, and understanding your diet, making better choices. All of that is preventive to help you live well. If you're sick, you cannot focus on anything but trying to get well. It's a terrible way to live life. Is that showing the big picture?
Yes, that is. And Mike put a question in the chat. He was just asking, does Shakeology contain any ingredients from pork, shellfish, or octopus? And I would assume no, but
Nothing specific. Now, the facility is clean, sanitized, but we cannot guarantee what is being facilitated there. So all these things may be processed in the facility. We do our best to clean everything like mad, to sanitize everything like mad, even between our own products, so that whatever is coming from the outside, we are doing all that we can, but we are not in charge of what else is being processed in those facilities, and therefore we cannot put the stamp. So if you need the stamp just for your psychological sense of safety, by all means, maybe take the Daily Sunshine or find something that has those stamps right now. But that's we can do. We do everything we can. There's a great statement here that explains specifically what we do. I don't want to spend too much time looking for it.
that's okay. You don't need to worry about it. So somebody was asking, when are we going to get vegan greenberry?
You know what? I'm not privy to that information way ahead of time. And even if I get information on possible new ingredients and possible new changes, I'm not allowed to talk about it. And I was telling Greg, that's because of the process that we go through. So every new ingredient, every change is, scrutinized, and we go through all these processes of what's the word in English, of our own personal stamps, right? Let's say we're thinking about new ingredients. We have to interview and go see the facility, test everything, have long talks, all these steps that we go through with each new ingredient, and then we have to make sure that it blends well with the synergy of the rest of the shake. So we have to do tests that way as well. It takes up to a year to go through all that to make sure it's up to the standards of the Beachbody company. And so at any step of that, those processes, we can change our mind. We cannot get a quality that's good enough for us. So there's no reason for us to talk about it until we're ready to do it. When we're ready to do it, then we talk about it. So whenever somebody is there, I can't answer that question. It's too complex. The whole process is so complex and takes so much time. Every little change, it's a synergy. There's 60 plus ingredients, so everything has to mesh well together. The ingredients have to enhance each other. This is why there's not a mega dose of everything. Also, because mega dose sometimes can really elicit great detoxification, and that can make people feel very funky. And we ask people to have medication, people that are going through their own processes and detoxification programs at home. And if there was high level of different greens, like chlorella, like a high level in it, we could not really assure that people would not go through a reaction. On their own, they can decide to do that. But for us, we're dealing with thousands and thousands of individuals, and we don't personally know what they're going through. So the blend at a certain level with the synergy where they enhance each other, but not to a level that can be dangerous, is what we're after, because of the hundreds of thousands of people that we're dealing with that we do not know personally. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think we have a few more questions, but I know we're out of time. You said like 40 minutes, so...
Okay, give me one. Let's see.
Okay, so Mark from Texas, not sure if it was addressed, but was curious, on average, how long does it take the body to rebalance once starting a diet with Shakeology once a day?
Oh my God, that's such a personal question. And I'm not privy of all the different diets. They're all different diets and they're all different programs that go with it. And I have no idea what each individual is coming from. Are you 200 pounds? Do you want to lose 5 pounds? Have you never looked at your diet? Are you doing a drastic change? Or are you just tweaking? I mean, the variables are endless. So I cannot.
What you're eating with Shakeology, right? So
I'm sorry, what?
And probably what you're eating with Shakeology.
Of course, yes. That's a vast question that I cannot answer. with any accuracy whatsoever.
Okay. Well, somebody asked, it's in the FAQs that you can't heat Shakeology or it ruins some of the ingredients. Can you
Yes,
speak
because
to
it's
that a
cold
little bit?
food. Yeah, it's not worse than any food, right? So if you cook food, you know that some nutrients will be lost in the cooking, anything over 110 Fahrenheit. So it's a whole food based powder, and there's macronutrients that you will not lose. Some of the protein, fiber, carbohydrates, some of the elements will not go all. It's not going to be all gone, but you will definitely lose some of the ingredients that are more fragile. The cooking will destroy that. So you just have to be aware of that. But is it better than using Nestle Quick? Probably.
Yeah, it's still better than some other brand of brownies, right?
Correct.
Okay, well, I think that's enough. We won't take any more of your time, and we greatly appreciate you coming to speak to our team. And I think I learned a lot. I hope everyone else did as well. So,
Do you feel great that you got what you needed for this call at least?
yes, definitely. I think we're all good. Everyone good?
Good.
Okay.
Great.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
I hope I was helpful. Use the FAQ. Also use the other coaches. Band together. Reach out for each other. They may have answers that you may not have gotten here. And know that we're also trying to simplify the FAQ. We're trying to find ways to reach out to you with videos, with the new technology that may be more user-friendly for you. I'm always trying to say things in lay terms so that it can be easily repeated by you to help others understand the whole thing. So we're looking into friendlier way to deliver the information, and I hope you like it.
Armando just said that he has a question about hive. Armando, do you want to take yourself off mute?
Yes. Hi, Isabelle.
Hello.
I had two customers that had tried Shakeology but had hives afterwards. I've asked them what are they, what may cause it, and they say that there's too much ingredients for them to actually find out what's causing it. But they really want to get into a health routine, and they're afraid to try Daily Sunshine because I also bring that approach to them. So I don't know if there's something.
Why are they afraid of Daily Sunshine? It's such a simple formula. The ingredients are all written. It's basically fruit, vegetables, protein, fat. It's very clear. It's very clean. It has the zillion stamps. My question to them would be, what's so scary about the Daily Sunshine?
I guess I asked one. The other one has a response, but she said that because she had Shakeology and she had hives and they were painful, she's afraid of trying Daily Sunshine because, and like you said, it's in a facility that's also contained with other stuff, and she's just afraid to try it because she doesn't want to get the hives back and deal with that again. So I didn't know.
I totally understand.
If there's something, that I could get back to her with some more information.
Well, first of all, in order to, I don't know what level they're at, but there's so much more than just the shakes at Beachbody, right? There's a lot of different programs, eating, diet, exercise, that can definitely put her on track in terms of her health. I don't know where she's at. So you can definitely try to help her with all that other stuff. When it comes to the shakes and the hives, I totally get it. So my answer to that was getting all the certification, getting it tested. I would try little tiny third of a scoop of a sample, but I get it. If it was painful and she doesn't want to try it, my dear, I don't want to scare people. It may not just be for her. She might need to go, and get a basic whey or vegan protein and add her own vegetables and things in there that she may feel comfortable putting and doing her own mixture. I did that for years. It's totally doable. And try the other ways that maybe she incorporates her own shake with our, well-designed diets and workouts. So maybe you can team up like that, maybe she can get your help in how to form. If she wants to stay with you and you can offer her exercise and diet program, maybe you can help her create her own shake. Like I love to do that too. Like she can pick and choose from, you learn so much from the bag that she can ask you about certain ingredients that might be very useful that she can buy separately. And it won't taste the same. It's not the same thing, but oh my God, it's better than nothing. And I want to help people. So if you can provide help in understanding certain ingredients that she could have and help her, there's recipe that we have at the company. All our coaches share their recipes. Besides the shakes, they have all sorts of recipes. She can use that. She can combine her own resource with ours and help herself that way. So for me, it's always listening very deeply and trying to understand, what do they need? How can I help? Can we team up? And if she can't, that's okay. That's okay.
Right.
Move on. You wish her the best.
Mm-hmm.
And you help the people that can be helped by you.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well,
All right, Greg.
Thank you very much. Well,
you're very welcome, guys. I hope you're well. Have a wonderful Christmas or wonderful holiday.
You too.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Goodbye.